All right, everybody. We have huge breaking news. It is about 2:20 p.m. West Coast time on Friday, May 16th. We have two breaking news stories. The first is I found a T-shirt for sale in Las Vegas, which is basically the subtitle to my autobiography, Bad Choices Make Good Stories. So I bought that. I bought some other T-shirts as well, which I'll be showing in subsequent videos. The United States Supreme Court maintains a block on Donald Trump's deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. They issued an order today. A divided Supreme Court on Friday kept in place a block on the Trump administration's use of the rarely invoked wartime power to deport migrants who are currently located in northern Texas. Remember that a couple of weeks ago, a Trump-appointed judge in western Texas, in Brownsville, Texas, put out a very detailed opinion stating that the Trump organization was using the Alien Enemies Act illegally and was violating the terms of that statute and had not met the requirements of that statute by showing that the United States was either in a state of war or that we were subject to or experiencing an invasion being directed by a foreign government. A Trump-appointed judge was like, yeah, you ain't got it. This ain't it. You don't have it. And shut him down. So a divided Supreme Court kept that block in place. The majority in today's unsigned opinion was on the emergency docket, called the detainees' interests particularly weighty because of the risk of removal to a notorious mega prison in El Salvador where detainees could face indefinite detention for the rest of their lives, despite having been convicted of fewer felonies than Donald Trump. That's true. Yeah. President Donald Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target a Venezuelan gang is one of the most controversial parts. I fucking hate mainstream media. It's illegal and it's unconstitutional. It's not controversial. I'm reading this from the Washington Post. He's doing this illegally. The justices had told the administration in early April that it must give targeted detainees sufficient notice within a reasonable time and in such a manner that they can challenge their removal, due process, have a hearing in the jurisdictions where they are being held. The High Court intervened again a week later, issuing an extraordinary middle-of-the-night order to temporarily halt deportations of a group of migrants in northern Texas. They were actually in western Texas. Well, no, that group was in northern Texas. Lawyers for those migrants said they had been loaded onto buses and were at risk of imminent removal to Sicat prison in El Salvador, one of the worst, if not the worst, gulag prisons in the Western Hemisphere. In their order of today, Friday, the justices reinforced in much stronger language the importance of courts ensuring a fair or due process before deportation and alluded to the Trump administration's handling of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case, a Maryland man who was wrongly deported and who is now imprisoned for life in Sicat prison for terrorists and gang members in El Salvador, despite a 2019 order barring such action, preventing him specifically from being deported to El Salvador. The court said a detainee must have sufficient time and information to reasonably be able to contact counsel, file a petition, and pursue appropriate relief, according to the unsigned order from a majority of justices. The roughly 24 hours notice provided to detainees in northern Texas in English, a language most of them don't read, quote, is devoid of information about how to exercise their due process rights to contest the removal, and it surely does not pass muster, the order stated. Here's the shocking part. This is really shocking. I did not see this part coming at all. Totally unprepared for this. Conservative justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas dissented. Yeah. The Supreme Court made clear it was not addressing the broader question about whether Trump officials can legally invoke the Alien Enemies Act against members of Tren de Aragua, the street gang from Venezuela. Instead, they sent the case back to the U.S. the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit for further proceedings. So, just for context, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is comprised almost entirely of people who make Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas look like squishy liberals. Yeah. We recognize the significance of the government's national security interests, as well as the necessity that such interests be pursued in a manner consistent with the Constitution, said the order of today. In a concurring statement, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, hang on a second. Hang on a second. My brain needs a moment to process that statement, where the Supreme Court did the right thing and followed with, in a concurring statement, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who apparently today is also doing the right thing, said the Supreme Court's injunction simply ensures that the judiciary can decide whether these Venezuelan detainees may lawfully be removed under the Alien Enemies Act before they are, in fact, removed from the United States. Kavanaugh said he would have preferred to have the Supreme Court take up the underlying legal questions and called for a prompt and final resolution of the matter. I think that indicates to me that even Brett Kavanaugh is like, they don't have it on the Alien Enemies Act. They haven't met their burden. They've not met the statutory requirements of the Alien Enemies Act. Lower courts have largely rejected the administration's rationale for fast-track deportation. Justices in Colorado, New York, and Texas have all concluded that it was unlawful for Trump to invoke the Alien Enemies Act and explicitly rejected the administration's declarations that the United States is being invaded by a Venezuelan gang at the direction of the Venezuelan government or president to justify its use of the centuries-old act to try to deport migrants without a hearing, without due process. And this court said a few weeks ago, even if you're going to use the Alien Enemies Act, every single deportee is entitled to notice and an opportunity to contest their designation as a gang member and to contest their deportation order. All three of those things add up to due process, a hearing where the government has to prove its case against each individual immigrant that they intend to deport. So this is really good. This is really good news. It's going to completely wreck Donald Trump's weekend, and I love that for him because I don't like him, and I want him to have a shitty weekend. At pretty much every single weekend, I want Donald Trump to have a shitty weekend. So let's all take a moment of silence. Let's take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out. Let's get those sit bones situated. Let's align those chakras. And let's bring all of our cosmic energy to the following statement. I hope Donald Trump has a shitty weekend. We're putting that energy out into the world. That's right. All right, everybody. I hope everybody has a fun and safe weekend. Stay out of trouble. Don't get arrested. And if you do, don't call me. I'm in Vegas.